So with the tokenization, we are not just buying tokens. No. This is not, we are not getting into a utility token. We are not getting into a meme token, but we are actually buying real physical infrastructures. We are getting into real physical infrastructures. And at this point, this is where I think that regulation and legal procedures should actually happen. Previously, when we were just investing into tokens, just getting into a token, if it pumps, it pumps. If it dumps, you lose. If it pumps, you benefit. If it dumps, you lose. We are not really so much inquisitive to the legal procedures, to the legal systems being into crypto. As a matter of fact, there is a way we used to think that maybe legal systems and compliancy and financial structures actually slow crypto in one way or the other, and we wanted it really quick, 100% decentralized, and nobody actually is getting in between, because at the end of the day it is peer-to-peer, you and me. And why would everybody be regulating what me and you are actually transacting? That is what was happening with usual tokens. But now with tokenization, it is actually changing, because we are not just buying into crypto, but we are buying into physical property, physical infrastructures through crypto. Am I understood? I'm saying that we are not buying tokens. We are not buying just into a crypto token, but we are buying physical properties simply through crypto. We are buying shares of physical property through crypto. Okay. We are not just buying physical properties through crypto, but we are buying shares of physical properties through crypto. Global property ownership. Okay, I was really trying to think about this over and over, and I was imagining me in Kenya, or me in Nigeria, or me in Mexico, buying shares of an apartment in California, US, or Florida. So I'm here buying shares of an apartment, something like 7 floors of an apartment, where people are paying $1,400 per month, and we have about 14 rooms or 60 rooms or whatsoever, and I'm buying into those shares. So tokenization is basically global ownership of property. From wherever you are, you can own shares of a property in any country of your choice, in any country that is under your jurisdiction, or in any country where you find an amazing property that you want to belong to. I'm always talking about TroptionsUnity whenever I'm talking about tokenization, because this is the company that I work for now, and this is the same thing that they are trying to build, a tokenization platform that is quantum exchange, where they can tokenize global assets, from expensive stones to expensive property. We're looking at apartments now, we are looking at hotels now, we are looking at bonds, we are looking at securities, we are looking at shares of companies. Yes, shares of companies can also be tokenized. So TroptionsUnity is actually doing that, and they are yet to launch. So we are waiting to see how successful they will be, because this is a 24 years old company that has been in crypto, trying to build this, to change from this to that. They've had really amazing tokens on markets, in actually private markets, and now they want to actually do the real thing, do the real business. And this is where a legal framework is actually going to apply. Because we are actually looking at an industry right now worth of $26.74 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about 26.74 billion. I didn't say millions, I said $1 billion. And those are simply distributed asset value. So the distributed asset value of tokenized assets is right now at $26.74 billion. This is not a joke. We are talking about real money. We are talking about an industry that is already showing a very big vision to hit some good trillions. Yes, this is an industry that I'm talking about, tokenization industry. Right now, authorities are actually starting to see tokenized industry, and of course tokenized assets as securities. And hence they feel, you know what, we need to legalize this. And if tokenized assets are going to be securities, to provide security, proof of security, proof of worthiness, then we need to have this into our control. Because remember, when you are going to buy a property, you're going to bring in an expert who is going to measure its worth. That is with most banks. Yes, not most banks, actually every bank has people who value property. If you want to take a loan, if you want to put in something as a security, they will come and measure it and tell you, you know what, you want this particular loan, but your property is worth this value. So exceeding this, we cannot give you because the worth of your security is this. So banks do have those experts that determine the worth of any security. And so legal frameworks are like, you know what, this entire tokenization of real estate, these ideas of tokenization of bonds, tokenization of funds, tokenization of shares, tokenization of infrastructures, tokenization of minerals, it is all now becoming financial systems. These are all mimicking traditional financial systems, and we have to legalize this. If we want it to be legalized, it means we have to control this, we have to govern this, we have to manage this. So because real estate tokenization is now becoming security, because tokenization of bonds are becoming security, there is need for authorities to legalize and also have a say on all this and keep it in the line. So that is why actually platforms that are practicing tokenization, platforms that want to be global tokenization platforms, first of all, they need to be licensed. And I'm asking whether Quantum Exchange is licensed to do tokenization. This is a very important question. These platforms must also offer investor protection rules. Investors must be protected from any sort of forgery, from any sort of fraud. And these platforms must also be able to practice cross-border authorization tradings. And this is the most important thing. By the way, right now, the total number of distributed tokenized assets, they are hitting 700,000. Because when you look at numbers right now, they are 69,000, 6,900, 7,000, 774,000. It is a few numbers to hit 700,000 holders of tokenized assets. Ladies and gentlemen, very soon it is going to hit 1 million. Very soon it will hit 5 million. Very soon it will hit 50 millions. Very soon it will hit 100 millions of people holding tokenized assets. This is a very fresh and young industry. The earlier you get in, the more value you will be holding. The earlier you understand this, the more benefits you will understand and you will be in. Tokenization is, in most cases, in for institutions. Institutions want to, of course, have their securities, have their money, have their funds put into something secure so that it can actually last for generations and generations. And I think this is why institutions, to get into your tokenization platform or tokenization asset, or to buy into your tokenized assets, that's the right term to use, you must actually verify that ownership is legally enforced. The tokenization platform must actually prove that the ownership of the tokenized asset is actually legally enforced. I can legally claim that I actually own these rights, own these shares into this property, and this is my worth. If I spend, let's say, 1,000 Unity tokens, let's say 1,000 Unity tokens, 1,000 Unity tokens, let's say they are worth something like $70,000 Yes, $70,000. And I want to buy a share of an apartment in Florida worth $70,000. Legally, I must be able to prove that actually I own this amount of shares at this building and I bought it at $70,000. Right now, it is equivalent to $300,000. My shares are equivalent to $300,000. So that in case I want to sell my shares to any person or an institution or for anything, or to get a loan or to do any sort of business, I should be able to legally show in that. Legally showing something that you actually own it and it is really real and worth it. I'm looking at, when you want to travel and you need to show in your property, like, you know what, you guys, I own land. I own this very big piece of land. I have a farm here. I generate $4,000 a month or $6,000 a month. I would want to actually go in the United States for 3 months vacation. And they want to look at your property and what you claim and the legal ownership. And if you're really not a scammer, if you're not broke and you're actually bringing your money into their country, spend it there, or if you don't want to stay in their country and you want to get back home because you have responsibility, they look at land title, they look at bank statements, they look at authority checks that you've been paying or utility bills to understand that you're actually a responsible person. Something they need to find out if you have a car and you will not leave it, if you have a wife and children, if you have responsibilities that need you to be there. This is the same thing that here tokenization platforms need to verify. If I own 300,000 in a tokenized assets of in an apartment in Florida, I should be able to legally present that as my property, as my legal shares, as my wealth, for any legal reasons. And it should be legally proved and approved that actually I own that and it is my worth. And I think this is a very important question that I would really want to, to raise to these tokenization platforms. Are you guys, will you guys be able to legally enforce this? to actually show different authorities that this person actually owned this, because this is important. This is equally important. If I'm going to invest my huge sums of money into that, I need to really get this. Also, there is need for markets to be regulated. No dumping of shares, no dumping of token value, no dumping of these assets. Because remember, institutions, they want to invest hugely into the platforms and these shares. Institutions, their worth will be here. And therefore, institutions do not want to lose their worth into assets that don't actually have a point. They don't want to do that. Institutions want to invest somewhere where their shares are going to grow, where their shares are going to appreciate, so that in 10 years to come, their worth will actually be huge. In 30, 50 years, they will be still on markets and they will be into existence. Previously, institutions were investing in oil shares. They were investing in bank bonds. They were investing in expensive stones shares, but not at a global range. Right now, institutions have a chance to invest everywhere, anywhere of their choice in an asset that might not be locally available in their place. But now they can invest anywhere, everywhere, which is good. But are the markets regulated, and are they going to make money? That is a very important question. The custody of these assets, the custody of these assets, are they secure? Are going to be present for the next generations? Are their shares, proof of their shares secure? Are these platforms secure, and can they trust it? Can they trust that they actually have those shares 100% and they will not lose ownership? This is really worth a discussion. Compliance with the regulators, compliance with laws in their jurisdictions. It is really important discussions here to get along with. So previously, we used to think that authorities and this and that, having a crypto token or a crypto company, following rules and regulations, and then you have to ask for appointment here, you have to ask for authority here. We used to think that it is actually a wastage of time and slowing crypto, and then crypto is now no longer making sense, because now we wanted a crypto that is 100% peer-to-peer, nobody's governing it. But then with the tokenized assets, it is actually changing. It is changing, and actually people yearn more for tokenized, for regulated tokenized platforms than those that are not regulated. If you asked me, if you brought two different projects, tokenization platforms or tokenization assets, and you asked me to invest in a regulated one and a non-regulated one, I'll definitely choose a regulated one, because this is wealth. I'm buying into a physical property that is already into physical legal frameworks. Hence, buying its shares, okay, here it is online, but I'm still buying into that physical one. So I would need a guarantee that I'm actually legally buying shares of that same property. And I think this is why TroptionsUnity is getting along with PT Bank Instrumental, something like that. PT Bank in Indonesia, in Jakarta, because banks have legal authority to regulate, to evaluate, physical property and be like, yeah, this is worth it. It is legally available. It is legally shareable. You can share. You can have its shares. You can tokenize it. And I think this is a very important part. And I think every tokenization project needs to have a financial institution backing it up, which is really amazing. At first I was like, okay, TroptionsUnity is in the US, and then now PT Bat Bank is in Indonesia. How are these guys going to manage this? How are these guys planning to manage this? Why didn't they look for a local bank somewhere? But also the Asian market is really huge. It is really worth it. So every tokenization platform, every tokenization infrastructure needs a financial institution to evaluate these physical worth assets. They need it. It is important. Every tokenization platform needs to have a bank. Not own it, but collaborate with it. Because we need to evaluate these tokenization assets. We need to have legal frameworks. We need to have a body that is going to do the evaluations and legal to ensure that actually this is being done legally. When you look at PT Bat Bank in Indonesia, it has been on. And it has been into management of various assets. And now with the tokenization, it should actually make everything quickened. It is supposed to make everything easier. Because now, tokenization means that you're actually bringing all those physical products onto a global financial scale, where everybody around the world is actually in and he can invest in. So you are actually attracting hundreds and thousands of potential investors to buy shares into that asset, which is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, I love discussing about tokenization. I love talking about RAWs. And I think this is the future. This is the future of investing. And if you've happened to know it early, it is such an amazing honor. And it is a very, very big advantage. So we all didn't think that tokenized assets needed legal financial systems. But it is happening. And every tokenized asset will need it. Or else you will invest into scam tokenized assets. They are not there. They don't exist. They cannot be legally authorized. They cannot be legally appreciated. They cannot be legally proved, which is the worst scenario ever. My name is Daniel Enhart. You are listening to the Crypto Investor Podcast. It is available everywhere. From wherever you're listening from, follow this, share it with a friend. We love you. Stay alert. Keep in the research. Keep listening. Keep reading. And stay in the know.